We're back, man.
Hey, Ernie. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, man. What you been doing?
A lot of editing, as everyone can see. We got a couple podcasts up on the old YouTubes now.
Yeah.
And we got some new guests in here today.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind introducing yourself to everybody so I don't mess up your names again.
That's fine. I'm Jared. I'm from Valkyree Racing, and that's
Sharon.
my wife.
I'm Sharon from Valkyree Racing.
Nice to have you guys here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and you're introducing me to these guys, and I'm sure all of our followers as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing from them and hearing their story and helping them teach me something, man.
Yeah, a little bit. So if anybody has seen you guys before, it's Valkyree Racing on YouTube, and also you guys have shown up in quite a few 1320 Race Week videos. Is where most people have seen you guys before.
Probably.
Okay. So the main thing here is just putting a name to the car and just getting to know you guys a little bit and how you guys got into this crazy world of financial disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you guys just go right ahead, start telling us a little bit about you guys.
Well, if we can start at the beginning, if you want to know how we got into this, as you say, destruction of the wallet. So I have two kids, and I've always had, the mommy mobile, right? Not necessarily something fancy, something reliable, not necessarily brand new, right? So my kids were getting older, and I was like, I really want to get something a little sporty, maybe like a coupe or whatever, something a little bit faster than, a Camry or a Sonata, right? So we were at the dealership. I think he was getting his oil change or something. So we were walking the lot, and there was this black CTSV. I've never even heard it before of a CTSV before.
You are so lying right now.
What, before then?
We were at the dealership, and she saw a Hellcat Challenger, which is
man.
what she really wanted.
She saw a boat.
Hellcat Challenger.
She saw a boat.
I like the challenge. I like the way they look. I like the way they sound. And I sat in one, and then it was immediately no because of the blind spots.
Yes, I will agree. I've driven one before.
Yes, they have really bad blind spots. I'm like, all right, well, that's out. So we saw this, I think it was black, right? It was a black CTSV coupe, and the guy walking the lot came over and was telling us, it's got a cam and it's got a this. And, at that time, I didn't really know a lot about the specifics of, performance parts and all of that. So I'm like, ooh, a cam, right? So he starts it, and he's like, well, we can't let anybody drive it. This has 680-something horsepower and blah, blah. It sounded nice. I had, the chop and everything. I'm like, ooh, I want one of these. So that started the journey of trying to find one in the area so I can test drive it, because I'm not buying a car if I can't drive it. So it took a while, and fast forward maybe 2 years. It was a while. On his birthday, November 2018, he was on Facebook Marketplace looking for a truck to flip or something, and he saw that somebody posted a V out in Wendell. So I get a text message at work, and he's like, hey, I found this car. I'm going to go take a look at it. Okay, cool, whatever. I'm working. A little bit later on, he texts me again. He's like, yeah, you're going to have to come up here so you can test drive it. I've already driven it, talked to the sales guy and all that. I'm like, are you serious? 5 o'clock in the RTP area, driving out an hour, further from our house?
So he's already bought it. He just wants you to come and confirm it. Is that what's going on here?
I had already test driven it. I'd already talked to the salesman and the sales manager, and I'd already convinced them that the car was broken. So we were well on our way, but I know better than to make any financial decisions without at least having my wife present.
He's a smart man.
That is quite smart.
Yeah.
Also, how many of us have sent our wives that text, hey, I'm just going to look at a car real quick text, and hope the response isn't just no?
Yeah, well, I was really excited because I really wanted to test drive it, because if I hated it, jumping into the Challenger, then at least I can stop my efforts and focus on something else, right? So fast forward about an hour and 20 minutes, finally get to the dealership. It's dark at this point, and I jump right in the car with the sales guy, do my test drive, and I'm liking it. I'm like, this is really nice. We get back. Long story short, we wound up closing the dealership and going home with the car.
Nice.
Had no intentions of buying a car that day. But
That's how it normally works.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so we go home, and of course he's like, hit it a little bit. And so what road was that?
That was 264.
264. So he's like, I'm going to go up, and when you see my hazards go on, just blast past me.
I wanted to hear what the car really sounded like, from the outside. Does it sound cool? Is the stock exhaust all right? And yeah.
So of course, I'm extra, so of course I do it in style. I don't know what I was doing, but it was definitely over the speed limit. So
I was doing 90, and she passed me like I was going backwards. It was every bit of 120.
And you're in your car the whole time. Like, yes.
I'm like,
yes.
This is great.
I'm in my truck like, wow, okay, this is gonna be a lot of speeding tickets in our future.
Yeah, everyone's giving me crap about you're gonna get a ticket. So I'm enjoying my car, loving life, doing errands, getting my nails done, going to work, whatever. Fast forward to like June of 2019, and we're like tinkering in the garage. We have a TV in there, so like we like to put on like 1320 videos, or he was watching a lot of the Cletus videos, and they were doing a lot of the streetcar takeover stuff. So I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. It looks cool. He's like, well, they're coming to Charlotte, a couple of weeks. We can go watch or whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure, it's something to do. Well,
here's where the hook comes in.
Yeah,
So you see what happens is.
See what happened was.
That sounds oddly familiar.
I love making my wife slightly uncomfortable because it's fun. She's up for anything. She's gonna try it one time and that's gonna be it, and that's fine. But if you let her know that it's coming, she doesn't really, just like gets nervous and gets whatever. You just, hey, by the way, you're doing this, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. She doesn't have time to get nervous and really think about it. So I like putting my wife in weird situations where she's like, oh, hey, drive this Jeep up a hill like that with no cage. She doesn't have any time to back out. So, I do these things. It's
peer pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to the max.
It's just, go do it.
Yeah.
You're done. Here we go.
Yeah. So he says to me like a week before the Charlotte event, he says, so later on we need to measure your head. I'm like, for what? Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that I signed you up for roll racing. So, of course, immediate anger. But, of course, I knew he wasn't going to not let me do it. So, we ordered a helmet off of Amazon and started figuring out how we're getting the car on the open trailer we had for, like, off-road stuff that we were doing at the time. Get that all figured out. We go down to ZMAX, and we get there early so we can be one of the first ones in the gate. And we're like the first or second car in line. And we're standing outside waiting for them to open the gates. And anybody and everybody that would listen, hey, my wife's it's the first time going down the track. She's never driven down the track before. She's never raced before. So everyone's like, they're being encouraging, and I can appreciate that now. But in the moment, I was just like, oh my God.
Even the security guard at the gate.
Security guard, they're all like, that's awesome. Good luck.
And you could have just did like they do in NASCAR and get the yellow tape and put it on the rear bumper.
Yeah, like student driver.
Student driver.
Exactly.
It was a thought, but I'm like, she'll be fine.
Was there any reservations, though, about making her first drag strip experience ZMAX, which is probably, arguably, one of the best drag strips in the country? Like the prep isn't always the best, but the facilities are nice. It's clean. It's huge. Like, it's
4 wide.
It's 4 wide. I mean, it's beautiful. And then you contrast that with somewhere like, Kinston. And Glot is nice, but it's not as nice as ZMAX.
Yeah, Rockingham at that time.
Rockingham.
Which Rockingham's really nice now, but...
It's nice. I'm very happy with all the changes they're making out there. Yeah. They just redid the track again.
Oh, yeah.
So he just sent you to the pro stage.
Oh, well, it gets better. So we get in the gate. We pull in the pits, right? We start making friends with our pit mates, right, as you do.
Yep.
And again, he's like, oh, it's first time. So they're like bros, They're like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. High five and, good luck. So we unload the car. We get everything out. We go up to the driver's meeting. And then they call, test and tune, get in the lanes for 140 roll. So Jared's like, come on, we got to go. So jump in the car. We head up in the lanes, and there is nobody in the lanes. So I am the first person.
Well, like drag racing, it's herding kittens into a box.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do, and it takes forever.
Yeah.
Which I know now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
right?
I knew for a fact that she was going to be the first car up there. And I'm like, get out of the way. Just go ahead. Be first.
So I don't get to watch a few cars go first, see how it's done. Because again, I've never raced, never been to one. All I've seen is the very few videos we watched on 1320 and the Cletus videos. So they're getting ready to send us to go down the track, and he leans in the car, gives me a kiss, and says, good luck. And he goes up to go in the bleachers to go video. So now I'm completely by myself. I'm like, well, hopefully someone will tell me what to do so I don't look like a complete jackass. And so they back me up, drop the arms. I go. Of course, I get obliterated by the luckily enough 3 Mustangs that were there. So
there was one that you were in front of, but that one he put a couple bus lengths on you.
Yeah, that red one. Yeah. So of course I get down. I'm like, oh, that was kind of fun. So if ZMAX, it's a far walk to get back to the stage or to the pits from the staging lanes. So I'm back, and I'm already talking to the people next to me. I'm out, my helmet's off, and they're high-fiving me, going, yeah, that's awesome. You did great. And I see him appear in the crowd of cars, in the sea of cars coming back, and he's just hanging his head, shaking it, because he sees the shit-eating grin on my face. Mm-hmm. He's like,
this is going to be expensive. This is what he was saying.
It's like, oh, what have I done?
I thought the washer and dryer I bought last week cost a lot, but wow.
Yeah, so that was my first experience going down the track ever racing. So.
Honestly, I think roll racing is probably the best decision for someone who's never been down the drag strip before, because there's less you can do wrong.
Yes.
Like you can't jump the tree. You can't basically the guy's arm goes down and you just go. Mm-hmm. You just go. Right. Once you actually are in competition stuff, they're like, you got to be 40 to 50 miles an hour.
And you can't jump.
You can't jump. Whatever, right? But for someone who's never been down the drag strip before, it probably is a good just get the car down the track. Don't worry about, because you're not worried about traction. You're not worried about any of the other stuff. Burnout,
red lighting, yeah.
Yeah, I watched a guy. I was at Galat last night. They had a test and tune. This guy came out there with I think it was a 06 Mustang or whatever. Street tires, and his buddy was sitting in the passenger seat. They let him go down the drag strip with someone in the passenger seat, and I was like, he's probably going to do a burnout from here to the 300-foot mark. I was wrong. He did a burnout from there to the 400-foot mark.
Oh, nice.
His foot did not come off the gas the entire time. I'm like, dude, just
let up
a little bit,
And that's something we didn't touch on last time. I mean, I know a lot of tracks it's really hard to base tunes off of their test and tune nights, because it's really for everyone to go out there and learn, and some of the new guys to go out there and learn from the guys who've been doing it for a while. But, it's really hard to dial a car in like that. I have seen a lot of guys over the years. They'll go and enter a bracket race, even if they're a heads up car, and they'll just try to get a 30-foot, 330 or something out of it, because they know the prep is good. They won't hold it the whole way because they don't want to show their times, of course.
Yep. Right.
That's where a lot of people actually go. So.
Well, do you guys do no time racing, or do you show times?
It's all timed.
I have nothing to hide. I'm not that fast. I don't feel like I'm that special that I need to be, holding secrets. People want to know what I got. Take a look, take pictures. We'll tell you everything.
I honestly didn't start that way, and I honestly don't care if people know what my times are. My problem was a lot of the people I was racing with were no time guys, and if I'd say what my times were, they'd all get mad at me. I'd get 5 calls in a row. How dare you say what your times are? I'm like,
yeah, we don't really mess with the no time or the grudge stuff. I've been racing since I was 16 years old.
Yep.
And I did a lot of stuff on, no prep back then, where there's no drag strips around, so it's just no prep.
Yep.
And I've been in that crowd and in that life and everything. I'm too old for the drama. I don't care for it. The no prep stuff is great. We go to dig or die every time we do all that stuff. It's just her big heavy boat that weighs 4,500 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just not really a great no prep car. A couple people make them work. Felicia Smith makes it work. I'm sure you guys saw her on Street Outlaws, and she's doing wheelies, doing burnouts. They made that car work, but her car and just the amount of time that we have to play with it just doesn't really no prep or no time to grudge whatever. We do whatever we can, and the boards are always on.
Yep.
She's also not really that fast.
Well, that's something I wanted to ask. You say you took that car to that first event. Did the car ever transition? Is it a full straight race car now, or is it still something you could drive to the drive-through? Or
oh no, I can drive it. It doesn't have great gas mileage, of course. It still has AC, heat. It's still got full interior minus the back seat. We took the back seat out, and unfortunately, when I did the cage, because I'm 6 foot, the Recaros would not work because my head was too close to the bar, so I did have to put Kirkies in there. But other than that, it's got all the door panels, it's got glass, it's got everything. He hates the AC lines, and we've toyed with taking out the AC before, but when we do those dragon drives in the south,
man.
You want the AC. So it hasn't come out yet, but even with the cage, I'll not now because it's not together now, but I'll take it, run errands, go to a friend's house. So, registered, it's insured, it's still a street car.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's controversial.
So something I found out this week, and I'm super excited about it. Wake County and Johnston County are dropping their emissions testing. At the
I
end
know,
of
I
this year.
heard.
And I'm like, I can get mine registered, because everyone I race with is not in those counties, and so they all have registered cars,
Right.
And I'm just like, you guys suck, because I have to have all this emissions crap still in my car.
Same.
Same with us. Like
Yeah.
we have to have the emission stuff on and get it inspected and get it all taken care of and everything. And when we go racing, like when we go to a drag and drive, we'll leave it on there for the most part because it's just really loud. And if you're in the car for a week, the last thing you
That
want
drone.
is
Well, we did that for the last race week when we were out in by Pueblo and Bandimere and all that. We were running out of time and we're like, screw it, we're just going to leave them up. We knew it was going to be awful, but when I tell you, after the week, getting back in our truck heading home, we literally sat there in silence for 20 minutes. We're like, it's so quiet.
Yeah, like 20 minutes, half an hour, just sitting there quiet because the whole week. It's
So-
it's a week. It's 1,200, 1,300 miles worth of driving on the street that you're not on the highway doing 80. You're on back roads doing 40, 45.
If that, because when we were in the mountains, we were doing 25 and 30 before the fuel pump stuff.
Yeah, so walk us through that a little bit. What is it? What is drag and drive like? Because I've never done one. I really want to, although I don't think Emotional Damage will be able to next year. But what got you guys into that?
Again, we were he always has watched the 1320, Cletus, I forget the other ones that you watch. But watching them do it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. And it was always like a pipe dream. At that point we were racing and doing events and testing tunes, but never the drag and drive.
Right.
And at that point we had a cruise booked because we had just gone on one, loved it. And I booked another one for the next year, and that was 2020. So August of 2020 we were supposed to go on another cruise, and of course the panorama happened.
The C word.
Yeah.
So things were we're not going to race this year, is going to stink. I don't think we've ever traveled as much as we did that year.
Yeah, that
we
year was
did so much
ridiculous.
racing. But anyway, so Matt Frost, who runs Rocky Mountain Race Week, which typically happens in June, I believe it was Hot Rod Drag Week that wound up canceling. So Matt decided to create a second event to help accommodate all those folks that were in Hot Rod Drag Week and anyone else that wanted to sign up. So he did another event like the one he did in June, but he did it in Kansas and Oklahoma. And that was happening in September. And we're like, oh man, that sounds like so much fun. And I was like, you know what? We ain't going on this cruise. We were just waiting any day for that thing to be canceled. And it did. It got canceled. And so he was away doing some work. And a friend and I were conspiring of how to get the tickets, what's the best way. And we were on it. We were like, all right, as soon as it hit whatever time, 11 o'clock.
You have to be fast with those things. Those
Oh,
entries,
you-
man, they can go in
About
just a
minutes.
few minutes.
So this
Seconds,
morning,
yeah.
morning was a sign up for Race Week 2.0 coming up in September. Was this morning at 11. They had 100 spots open, and it was sold out in a few seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that have 2 or 3 computers going trying to get logged in.
Yep.
Computers and
At the
phones.
same time.
Yeah,
Phones,
it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
everything.
I know Sick Week now, if you're not someone who's already gone before, you go on a waiting list.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep.
We did the first sick week. We managed to make it into that first sick week they ever had. We signed up for that one, made it in. She did the 2.0 sign up the first time, made it in. First time we tried to do the 1.0 sign up for Rocky Mountain Race Week, made it into that one immediately. She's just got the good luck with making it to the events as far as getting a ticket.
Yep.
Make it to the event.
I
with
hear
the car.
I hear Sick Week has gotten better since that first one. That they've worked out some of the bugs a little bit.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
one. I mean, the first event that you're going to do any event, they're gonna be a little rough.
Growing pains and stuff, yeah.
Sick week. I mean, we haven't gone back, and I mean, we don't have any plans to go back at the moment. But they call it the Super Bowl of drag racing, right?
Or Dragon Drives.
Super
Bowl of Drag and Drive.
Super Bowl of Drag and Drive, correct? And you think about, you're like, the New York Jets aren't in the Super Bowl. Why not? Because they're not that good. They can go there and be in the stands and maybe get an honorable mention, but they're not that great. So a sick week, you get the classes at 10, the DYO classes, which are, the guys are running 10, 12, 13, 14 seconds. But you get the 30 to 50 cars in that A group that those guys are running, 6s, 7s, and whatnot. Those are the main focus of sick week. It's the Super Bowl stuff.
Friggin' Brett LaSalle running 624.
Yeah.
I think 624.
Yeah, that was crazy.
227 miles an
Yeah.
hour, just
The
Like
Brett
nothing.
LaSalle.
obliterating. Oh yeah, I think that's my most frustrating part about watching that car go down. Is it looks like it's doing it effortlessly.
It is.
And I'm sitting there on the sidelines going like, I hate you. You know, I love your success. You know, but like, it's like, I can't get my car to look anything like that effortless going down the track.
Yeah, no, it's what Brett has done is actually absolutely ridiculous. Brett and Devin Vanderhoof,
Yep.
with Josh Davis driving now, that
That
car
big
is
block
amazing.
is going to be nuts when they get it all sorted out.
Oh yeah, that everything's going to be amazing when that happens. But yeah, I mean, those are the cars that Sick Week really focuses on because you bring all of the big ones together, and then you have all the other guys. Now they give them runs down the track. Like when we went, it was so many cars and so much stuff going on that they didn't actually. We got one run, maybe two a day. When we go racing, we want to race. We just want to go.
Yep.
Go. So, but we're not really what everybody wants to see. Nobody cares about CTSV going 1030s.
I don't know, but so quick question: the CTSV you bought, it is wrapped, right? Purple.
It is wrapped purple.
It is wrapped purple. Okay, what instituted that decision to take it from a black car to the purple?
Well, I mean, I like the original color or the OEM color is Thunder Gray Chroma Flare. Beautiful, and for the most part, the paint was okay, but the clear coat had a lot of swirl marks from the previous owners. So I guess they were trying to detail it and didn't do a great job. And as we started doing events and tests and tunes and started seeing these cars that were wrapped or painted these crazy and bright colors or cool colors, I started like, I really want to make my car purple. And of course, at that time, we started from stock. Like when we bought the car, it was stock. So it was always, is it going to make the car faster? Anytime I wanted to do something like cosmetic, but is it going to make the car faster? So I was like, no. So
Well, there has been guys putting ceramic on, so that is a bad question.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ceramic gave me a thousandth of a second, maybe.
there you go. I mean, every bit
little,
counts.
Every little bit counts.
Especially with bad reaction times.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so I mean, it wound up we wound up hooking up with Camel City Wraps out in Winston-Salem.
Okay.
They did the purple wrap. It came out amazing. And so we will get back there eventually. It's due to be done again. I'm going to keep it purple. I just don't know if it's going to be the same or something different. But again, it's like spend money on the wrap or
more horsepower.
More power. So
Yeah, well, that situation worked out pretty well with Camel City though, because they had just moved into a new shop. Like they were, fairly new startup kind of thing. The guys were doing it in their garage, and they moved into the new shop. And with what I do for my business, I had some stuff that they wanted, and they had some stuff that I wanted, and I love doing the barter system. So we kind of bartered it out. They lost on the deal, unfortunately, because her car, they named it "She'll Fight You." And God, that car will fight.
yeah. So if you ever see the hashtag on my Instagram post, she'll fight you. That's where it came from.
That car fights every single thing.
Every car needs a name.
So is the name of the car Valkyrie or
Yes.
Okay, so the name of the car is Valkyrie.
Yes.
Okay.
The official name is Valkyrie. The rest of us call it She'll Fight You.
Yeah.
Because like they put the whole wrap on the side of it, and they did the whole one continuous piece of wrap. And as they're kind of smoothing it out, they bumped the door, and a piece of plastic that they had taken off and cleaned before, behind it, there's some sand that fell out, got in the wrap, and they had to take that whole side off and throw it away and start all over again.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm like, where did sand come from? Like, I'm not taking this thing off roading.
This is before we had done Sick Week, so before it was on the beach.
Yeah.
No, definitely before then.
Yeah.
So we don't
I
know.
do believe I remember seeing something about that.
What, us on the beach?
Yeah, picture with the car on the beach.
We had to rain out the first Sick Week, so we're like, oh, what are we going to do? Well, we're right next to the beach, so all of us drove on the beach, and, well, then we got sand everywhere. They were yelling at us in the lanes, you guys are getting sand on the track. We haven't been down the track yet. It was somebody else.
We were sitting in the lane still. We're like, oh, we made a pass yet.
So, but, yeah, no, we do anything with that car. It's a street car. It can do street car things. I mean, as far as highway safety goes, you're not supposed to have a cage in a street car.
Yeah.
But other than the fact that there's a cage in it, it's a street car. So we can do anything we want with it.
So, yeah, he said we're not going to get into this, and I said we absolutely are going to get into this. What is the definition of a street car to you guys? Right? Because there's extremes.
And if you're
right?
watching the podcast, we want your comments. So bring them on.
Because there's extremes, right? Because like obviously Brett LaSala can claim his car's a street car, but Jeff Lutz could also claim his car's a street car, and that thing's a big block, twin turbo, big tire that
Spaceship.
technically can run on the street. But then there's also your guy's car.
So my thought is anything is a street car if you're crazy enough.
Yep.
Right. That's first and foremost. As far as what still constitutes a street car, if you can get in it, start it up, drive 30, 45 minutes, stop, park it, let it sit for an hour, come back out, and make the drive home, it's a street car. I don't care what it is. If it's a big tire Pro Mod with a Pro Line engine stretched all the way out to here, if you can do that, it's a street car because it can drive you to the store, do what you got to do, drive to get dinner, do what you got to do, and come home. So long as you don't have to jump start it when it's in the parking lot, which we've all had to
Stop
jump
and
start
get
our
fuel
cars.
every 2 or 3 miles.
Drive from gas station to get. If it can do that, it's a street car. I don't care if it's got a cage. It doesn't have AC. You know what? Cars in the 30s didn't have AC. Cars in the 30s didn't have heat, power brakes, power steering, none of that. And they were street cars, weren't they?
Yeah.
So street car is a street car. I don't care what amenities it has on it. I know that's probably not what everybody else thinks, but my thought is if it can do that, street car.
Well, I find that a lot of people's definition of a street car is up to whatever their car can do. Anything past what their car can do at the current moment is not a street car. That's a Pro Mod. That's a whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I get that accusation quite a lot
right
now.
I mean, my thing is like, just looking at non-racing street cars, right? Just your normal average daily driver, right?
Mustangs.
Don't hate, bro. Don't hate.
Everybody has what they like, right? Like, I'm not going to get into a small car and drive that use that as a daily driver because I'm not going to fit in it. And if I do, I'm not going to be very comfortable. I'm not going to want to drive it to the store. I'm not going to want to drive it 30 minutes back and forth to the office, right? Doesn't mean it's not a street car, right? So if someone like Jeff Lutz wants to get in his Pro Mod and street drive that thing, more power to you. Not my cup of tea. I mean, it's a little over the top, but if he wants to get in that thing and go grocery shopping, I mean, have fun.
It's a street car.
Yeah.
If you can make it, it's a street car.
Good.
I mean, that's. I've got plenty of people telling me that her car's not a street car because it's got a cage in it, or it's not a street car because it doesn't have a back seat. I'm like, neither does Corvettes.
I had a guy say to me one time, he said, if you've got a car that you race, he said, and you get up to go to work and your daily driver, you drive up to your work, won't crank, and you can get in that thing and drive it. He said, it's basically a street car. He said, if it'll get you to work, it's a street car. I was like, that's one way to think of it, but
yeah.
I mean, there's opinions based on all this, and we greatly appreciate you guys giving us your opinion on it.
Yeah.
Talking about street cars, I heard you guys are going to make it to some events soon. Let's tell about those. I think Civil Wars, you got Streetcar Takeover coming up, and maybe some something about like dragon drives.
Yes. So our next scheduled event, hopefully, will be Civil Rights at Rockingham end of April. Or Civil War, sorry. What did I say? Civil Rights.
Civil Rights.
We're going to be
Happy Women's Month, Women's History Month.
Yesterday was Women's Appreciation Day, I believe.
Yeah. So
everyone posted a picture of Danica Patrick crashing. Said Happy International Women's Day.
Oh Jesus, I didn't see that one.
I saw that like 7 places yesterday. I was like, oh wow.
That's rough.
But yeah, so we do plan on going to that. Wanted to do that last year, but life. So I heard it was a great event.
For me, it really sucked for me.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. If you watch the podcast with my team, Nick and I went back and forth on that's when we really started all the supercharger problems last year with the belt.
Oh, okay.
But long story short, and you can watch it if you want to. Like, we shredded 3 supercharger belts in less than 24 hours.
Oof.
Driving to Rockingham, back to here, back to Rockingham, back to here. Just.
Yeah, I did watch that, and I was like, ooh, I feel that so bad.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to do that. We also have Streetcar Bragging Rights in May down in Aiken, the House of Hook.
Did you guys do that last year?
We did. It was a great event. So
yeah.
It's run like we had basically a day and a half of rain delay because it was raining, and they still got the event done in one day, and it was still so smooth. They had all the awards. They gave out they're giving out Wallies. It's a really great event. Nate does a really great job with that.
Yeah, one of the things that, like, you know, when you go to the racetrack and you're at Rockingham, or the old Rockingham, and they call your class to the lanes, you can't hear it. You know, and you're like, you've got to watch. Okay, I think that car's going. All right, I'm in his class. They got a WhatsApp message.
Yep.
That has just your classes in it. If you're in 3 classes, you got 3 different groups, and they call you to the lanes on that 3 times. They put the ladder out there 3 times on that. When you get to the lanes, it's always like, all right, what's lane choice for eliminations? No, we got that handle. It's already in the computer. You're this one, you're that one, you're this one, you're that one. The ladders are always perfect. I mean, I've been to a bunch of races where the ladders get screwed up. Nate's already on it. Ladders are perfect. They have fireworks going off every single final that gets ran. As soon as they cross the stripe, the boards light up, fireworks go up.
Nice.
Flames
Nice.
You know, we had last year at Bragging Rights, they had a crash in a final, and it was bad. Was it the Miata or was it a Honda? I think it might have been a Honda. Something crashed on fire. Every fluid of the car was on the ground, and you see the guys. I mean, the driver was perfectly fine. Car destroyed. It happens. They were racing in 20 minutes.
Wow.
It was Carolina's staff went out there. They took care of it, and then you see Nate and Nate's guys out there running, and there's like 25 people out there. Everybody's got a mop. Everybody's got a broom. Everybody's making this happen. 20 minutes later, we're still going. Finals get done. They were, you know, even controversies. They handle that thing so well. The Women in Wheels last year, there was a controversy because the girl showed up and she had delay box in. I mean, it was turned off, but she had delay box in the car. It says no delay boxes. So if he's like, yeah, okay, we'll let you in as long as it's turned off. Nate's like, I got this. He took one of his guys and said, whenever you see that car come up, you stand at the driver window, make sure there's zeros on that box.
Yep.
And he did. You know, just whatever needs to happen, Nate's on it. And it's just such a good event. It's so many classes, and everybody. I mean, it's really, really good.
They have a car show. They have stuff for kids. There's a golf cart race, I believe. Yeah, it's a good time. It's definitely worth checking out at least once.
Yeah. For me, that's always the big decider if I want to go to an event or not. Is how well is the event run?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like Streetcar Takeover this year, there was a lot of oil downs, right? But you could tell they're doing their best to get it running. And when they were running cars, it's go, 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 go. Get it going, get it going, get it going. You know, I think one of the biggest gripes about 252 that we've done is that the events are just, there's a lot of waiting around for what seems like no reason. You know, and Braxton's very aware of that.
There's been a lot of growing pains, and that's something
of that. Yeah, whatever.
I mean, you know, something you were speaking about with that Nate fella. I think just any event goes well whenever everyone has respect for whoever's running the event, and it really falls back on them.
Yeah.
And anyone, and I'm not one of those guys. I've helped put on many events, but anyone who thinks them guys aren't under pressure, they really care about their events going over well. The ones that run well, it's proof in the pudding whenever the events turn out good and everyone's having a good time. That's what it's really about. Everyone having a good time and getting back home safely and coming back and doing it again, improving.
So, yeah, I mean, my biggest problem I see is that everybody complains about an event but does nothing to help.
Yep.
You know, we did Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0, and then everybody was complaining, oh, it takes so long to get through tech. Tech takes, you know, forever. I'm like, what have you guys done about it? And me and her walked up to Matt Frost and we're like, hey, man, we're here a day early. You want us to help with tech? We volunteered our time. I was out there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. teching in cars.
Oh, yeah, we
Doing
got
the
so
road
burnt.
Did every car that was going to be in your class mysteriously fail tech or something? Or?
Nope, I passed everybody. Actually, the one person that had the hardest time getting through tech was Cletus.
Yeah.
I gave him the hardest time getting through tech, and not because I don't like him or anything like that, but because he had his registration. He's got 4 cars he's got there. He's got registrations on his phone, his insurance on his phone, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, listen, I know these cars are registered. I watch your channel. I know that you have everything in order, but you got to show me. He's like, oh. I'm like, listen, man, out of everybody, you are the one that somebody's going to complain about because you're going to win probably stick shift. You're going to win 850 with Ruby, and you're going to win Ultimate Radio with Mullet. You're the fastest 3 cars here. They're going to be bitching and complaining. And since I'm not a Race Week employee, I'm just somebody volunteering. You don't want that. He's like, well, hopefully none of them are here. I'm like, look right there. And he goes, oh, never mind. Let me see if I can find it for you.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to win, man. And
so
kudos to you for doing that.
But yeah, it's like we were at Street and Eat last year, and or last year. It's November. God.
Well, it was technically last year. Yeah.
But our buddy broke his car, and he's like, everybody complained about the lanes. Fine, my car's broke. I'm going to run the lanes for the event. So, I mean, you're complaining, you don't like how the lanes are run, or you don't like how tech goes, volunteer.
Yep.
Volunteer to help. Give them your time for free. You know what? Make it better.
Even if you aren't a racer too, if you're just someone that spectates, go to the promoter and say, "Is there any way I can help?"
Yeah.
Man, that's one of the best ways to learn about this industry. Also,
Well, I mean, when we volunteered, we were racing, but I was racing, so we literally stood and got fried in the sun, teching everyone in, and then as soon as it was over, I then went through tech, and we raced all week. So I mean, it's doable.
you didn't get in his line for teching though, right?
No.
Yeah, and we didn't ask Matt for anything. Matt offered plenty of stuff to us. You guys want T-shirts, you guys want this, you want that, you want free. No, we're good. We're just here to help out.
Exactly.
So that's my thought on that. If you're going to complain, go ask to help.
Yep. And then the other part is the responsibility of as the drivers and the crews, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're called up, get up there. Don't. I know a couple guys I race with. They do not start prepping the car to go down the track until they're called.
Oh, see, I'm so
Right.
anxious. That's the one thing I have to work on is I'm very anxious about being ready. And he even calls me out like, "Why don't you get out of the car?" I mean, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons is like when they're ready to go, I don't want to be scrambling to get all my stuff on. I got 10,000 buttons and logs to start and buttons to push to actually go down the track, and I'm like, I don't want to be the one sitting there where everyone's staring at me like, come on, let's go. So that's something I need to work on. There's a balance there, but I get it.
I'm sure you've seen it. Like we'll be at the track, and she's sitting in the car in the stage lanes for 45 minutes to an hour, just completely strapped in, helmet on, refuses to get out of the car just in case if they call my lane, I don't want to be waiting.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily have my helmet on and stuff, but like a lot of times sometimes it's, I don't want to be involved in the drama, right? Sometimes it's just, I need to focus, right? Like if it's an elimination round, I'm like, I don't want to get out of focus. It sounds stupid, but.
Okay, so there's you just brought up a good point. Drama at the racetrack, that happens all the time. What kind of drama have you guys run into?
So us particularly that I am aware of. I mean, I don't, if something's happening that behind the scenes. We don't typically get involved in drama because I'm too old for that.
I will watch it. I will make comments on it. Every once in a while, I might poke a human being once or twice.
He's pretty bad about that.
I am. That's fair. But
Stirring the pot.
We don't usually get involved in the drama too much. But definitely, I've seen all sorts of stuff from guys in the lanes, like dumping ice in the lanes, and the lane guy getting into it, and the two of them going at it like this. I'm just kind of walk back, be like, all right, let's go take a look at what's going on over here. Seen a couple fights in the lanes, or we were spectating Dig or Die and saw a huge brawl going on in the pits there. There's always drama at the racetrack. You got a bunch of competitive people. You're going to put them together and tell them, hey, you guys are going head to head, but only over there and only for like 5 seconds. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Those emotions just get up there. You can't do anything about that. But we've seen our fair share of like anger drama, and if you want to talk about like broken parts drama and car drama and stuff like that, oh God,
that's something I want to get into. I told Nate we want to ask because a lot of people, they don't see. You said elimination rounds. When you get in those last few rounds, you can get into some short rows where parts break or there's something you're missing. What's one of the craziest things you've done? You ever borrow a part off your tow vehicle or for someone? Maybe even competitors say, hey, man, can I borrow something? You need something for your car. You're remembering stories of the craziest or wildest thing you've done to make it to the next round or even get to the track.
Get to the track.
So, realistically, I've been very lucky in my short racing career to not have catastrophically broken. I mean, I have, I had to get a new engine, but that's a whole nother story.
Which part we'll get.
Part two.
Part two. But I would say, and I think you probably are thinking the same story I am, when we were in doing Rocky Mountain Race Week last year, we lost our fuel pumps in the mountains. We lost fuel pressure and basically had to limp it back, calling around to see if anybody had, because I have the fuel, the Ford triple pump in my car. So we were calling around and we found a shop that actually had the pumps and the socks or the filters. So we grabbed them and literally he was elbow deep in my in my gas tank of E85, changing out pumps and getting, there's a little bit of sludge in there, and I think it's in the YouTube video, right?
Oh yeah, it's in the YouTube
Yeah,
video.
so I would say that's probably the craziest thing, to be able to stay in it and to complete the week and still race. I don't know if you have any other stories.
I've heard that it's not race week unless you've maxed out at least one credit card.
Oh, yeah. No.
Two. You got to max out two.
The rule is you don't look at your credit card statements until you absolutely have to.
Yeah, you don't look at your credit card statements till you get home. I mean, getting to race week is also part of race week. We have had more trouble getting to race week than we have of actually commit. We lost a trailer on the way to race week.
Yes, we
How
did.
did you manage that?
Okay, so leaving race week 1.0, we're coming out of Great Bend and we're passing by Casey's, which is a gas station out there in Kansas. I'm not sure if you've ever been out that way. Great pizza. Only thing open past 8. So race week, you're not leaving the track till 1 o'clock. You're eating Casey's pizza every week. I'm in the right lane. Woman in the left lane just decides, oh, you know what? I want to be in Casey. So she jumps right in front of my truck and trailer with her car in it. Jumps into Casey. So I have to jump into Casey's, hit the curb with the trailer, bend a wheel in half, break another one. So I'm changing wheels or whatever. Go down the road, throw another wheel off because it got damaged on that initial hit that I didn't see. Have to get the car out of the trailer and the car shifted over and all that stuff. That's fine. That's getting home from race week. Going to race week, about 6 months or 4 months later, going to 2.0, we get from our house here to Nashville.
Nashville, right outside of Nashville.
Outside Nashville on 40. And looking in the mirror, I'm like, there's some smoke coming off of them wheels. It's a little weird. Pull over to the side of the road, and next thing you know, I pull over, and one of the tires just kind of keeps going. I'm like, oh,
literally.
That's unfortunate.
Never good when your tire passes you.
I was like, that's unfortunate. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, we're going to need to get a bearing. So I'm like calling around trying to get a bearing and trying to get some stuff, figured out as far as how to get this trailer on the road. We find a trailer shop, we go over there, and they're looking at it like, that axle's bent, that frame is bent. Yeah, good luck. And I'm like, well, I've still got another 1,000 miles to go here. So we decided to sell that trailer for $2,000, get her car and the little trailer out of the big trailer. We put the little trailer behind my truck, her car, and we just caravan the rest of the 1,000 miles out to race week and said, all right, that's it. And then on the way back, we were having a lot of problems with the tune on her car from a previous tuner. Her car wouldn't idle.
It didn't like low idle, yeah.
So you couldn't stop at a traffic light. That's a real big problem on a drag and drive car, as well as trying to drive home.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stops in a drag and drive.
So it was a problem. So we had to. We actually wound up having somebody tune it that was on race week. He retuned the car. It drove like a brand new car after he retuned it. But he did great. But I mean, just getting there sometimes is the biggest challenge. But,
Or getting home.
Or getting home. I mean, it's a little tough.
Basically, we did 1,000 miles there. Or I drove the car 1,000 miles there, did about 1,300 miles during race week and raced every single day, and then drove 1,300 miles home in the car.
Tell me it's not a street car.
It's a street car.
Yeah, tell me that's not a street
probably
car.
the only person crazier than that is that guy who drives down from Canada.
Rich
Rich
Sick week.
Gita.
Rich
Chuck
Gita.
Norris of racing.
Yeah, the Canadian Chuck Norris. This is a stick shift car, right? He drives it from Canada all the way down to Florida, not
Or
on a
wherever.
trailer, right? Does Sick Week, and it's like an 850
Yeah.
quarter
850
mile
stick
car,
shift car.
850 stick shift, super consistent, and then drives it all the way back.
And he does multiple events like
He
that
does
a
3
year.
or 4 a year
and-
like that.
Does he bring a trailer, or
Nope.
it's
No.
all the stuff's in his car?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
him and his dad, I think, recently
Yeah,
did.
it's his dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They were on
it's
the
still
Cooper
Pontiac
Bogetti
powered.
podcast recently, so I was hearing a bit more about him.
He's just setting a bar for everyone. That's what he's doing.
Pontiac powered, Pontiac GTO, or
Yeah.
I think it is. It's an insane car. I mean, he's a super cool dude. We've
Yeah,
met him
he's
a
so
few
nice.
times.
Yeah, the only time I've seen him, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's just what we do," and I'm like, "You're nuts."
The drag and drive community is way different than any other community I've ever seen in my life. Because you talk about the grudge racers or the no time guys that yell at you for showing your time.
Yeah.
Or you talk about guys that are like, I know you're hiding something under that hood. Or it's always something like everybody's trying to compete like that. I have literally watched it happen at Race Week 2.0. The guy in first place in his class, the guy in second place in his class. Go down the track, guy in first place blows an engine. Gets back to the pits, guy in second place goes up to him, what engine are you running? Oh, it's literally just a truck 5.3. Oh, Can you use a 6.0? Yeah, cool. Let's go to my tow truck and we'll pull out the engine out of my truck, put it in your car so you can finish the week and just give me the engine back at the end of the week. That's the guy in second place telling that to the guy in first place.
Yep.
The guy that was beating him.
Yep.
They literally went to his tow truck, or the tow rig, pulled the engine out, put it in the guy's race car, and the guy raced on that and beat, the owner of the engine got beat by his own engine. And they were all happy about it. Like, you're not going to see that anywhere.
It's one of the best communities I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Every person I know that's ever raced in it, they have nothing but good things to say. And as soon as they get home, they're already booking the next year.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, there's no feeling like if you have a chance to do one, I don't care if it's race week or straight and neat or even sick week or any of them, you're gonna get hooked.
So, but my question is from watching it a little bit, which day is the hardest? So they're usually 5-day events. Which day is the hardest day to get through? Because day 3?
Day 3.
It depends on the event. Like Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0, you have a couple drive days. That event is very hard on the car.
Yeah.
Not as hard on the people. Race Week 2.0, you drive 300, 400 miles, and you race, and you do that every day for 5 days straight. That's really hard on the people.
Well, I think it's like more 200-300, but yeah, it's still.
But day 3, if you're not really, really happy with the person in the other seat, we have seen somebody get left in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, because they could not get along with their driver. The driver and the co-driver didn't get along, so the driver threw the co-driver out, and we leave him on the side of the road in Ponca City, Oklahoma, like nowhere, Oklahoma, with his little bag, and we all just drove off because the two of them got into a fight, and I'm like, this is bad. So day 3 is always the worst.
Yeah.
It does help if somebody throws an oil catch pan at you and make you laugh, though.
Yeah.
So we had that happen one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, day 3, it's like 5:30 in the morning we get up and start doing the drive. By 7:30, we've already yelled at each other about which way the directions are, and I'm not speaking loud enough, or she can't hear me, or I'm not telling her quick enough where the turns are, or, I'm like, well, you're just not turning, all that kind of good stuff, the husbands and wives fight about when there's nobody else around. And so we're just quiet. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, just driving down this nowhere Oklahoma road. And the guy in front of us who was with us, we were all in the caravanning group, had an open trailer and an oil catch pan, because he's got a Mustang. He's going to need an oil catch pan eventually.
Yeah, probably.
And actually, his name's Kyle Mason. I'm not sure if you heard of him. He had a really fast S197.
It was silver with the red bumper on the front.
Yes, I know the one you're talking
So
about.
it was Kyle. And we're just driving, and then out of nowhere, here comes this oil drain pan just flying up in the
Flipping
air.
like a football in the air.
Headed straight for her, and in Sharon's mind, she's extremely tired, and it took a little bit of time to like, is that really coming at me?
I'm like watching it, and then I turn just enough where it hits the corner of my bumper and punts into the embankment on the side of the road.
Some random cornfield out there in
Damn
Oklahoma.
it, Kyle.
So we were all a group chat, and we're all talking to each other. Everybody's like, oh my God, me and her are crying laughing. We are having so much fun. It was the funniest thing to us that somebody just threw an oil pan at her car. Right? It was. I don't know why we found it so funny.
I think we were tired.
We were tired, and we had just been angry at each other a little bit, and we were laughing. We got to a car wash 20 minutes later to try to wash the oil off the car, and we were still getting out of the car crying, laughing. Everybody was running up to her. I'm so sorry. She's like trying to get out that no, it's fine, but she can't. She can't breathe. She's still laughing.
Yeah, they thought I was like crying, like upset. I'm like, no, you're good. You are good.
But day 3 is always the worst. You just need to find just the littlest something you can to make it a little better. Day 4, it's like, oh, we're over this. We're good. The finish line's over there. We can see it. Day 5, you're already at the finish line. All the stress is gone. It's like, all right, all I got to do is break the beams, and I already drove it in here. So it's day 3 is always the hardest.
I did see one, I think it was Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0 a couple of years ago. Guy made it all the way to day 5, did his burnout, and the drive shaft let go at the burnout. Could not finish drag week by 5 feet. I was like, oh.
It's happened before. We had, I think it was on 2.0, the first one we did, or no, the second one we did, that the guy did his burnout day 5, and the transmission exploded. Literally exploded. And he said there was a matter of, they can't do anything. Transmission exploded. Might as well go to my trailer and load it up. And the rest of the race weekers wouldn't let him. Everybody else drugged the car off. and they found a transmission part out of this guy's car, and they started taking parts out of everybody else's car, throw in his car so you can just break the beams, and then put it all back in everybody else's car.
Yeah.
It's like, no, all right, well,
That's race weekers.
that's drag and drive people.
It's a race week family at that point.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a community. It really is. People are very willing to give you the shirt off their back. They will help you any way they can. It's a very different feeling from just going to like a test and tune or an event. And not that those are bad by any means. I have a lot of fun at events. It's just a different type of community within the racing community.
Yeah.
Which starts from Matt Frost, the guy that runs it.
Yeah.
He's also like, everybody, doesn't matter who it is, he makes sure he checks on everybody every single day. Good, you made it. How was the drive? How was this? It's real quick. But Matt knows who you are. He knows your car. He knows your face. He doesn't care if you're Cletus McFarland or if you're Joe Nobody. Everybody gets treated exactly the same as far as he can do it. So he makes the event what it is. It's his race week family because that's just the way he does it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Street and Eat. The new one that's down here in South Carolina, which you should come do with us.
Yeah, that one, once your car is ready, like that, if you're going to jump into the drag and drive world, that's a perfect one to do because it's 8th Mile. It's local to us. So, yeah.
And it's run the same way.
Despite the fact that I do a lot of 8th Mile drag racing, I actually prefer quarter mile. It's just
me too, yeah.
All the competitions that I do are all 8th Mile because everyone's like, "Oh no, quarter mile, it's unsafe." And I'm like, no, it's only unsafe if you make it unsafe. If you've built your car so that it only lasts for 1/8 of a mile, it's your car is unsafe, not quarter mile is unsafe.
Right. No, I can see that.
Yeah.
But, I definitely prefer quarter mile racing. It lasts a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
But my car is not designed or built to do 8th Mile. Like, I'm not fast by any means to the 8th.
Well, with the weight, it's going to struggle with the 60-foot.
Exactly. My car is way too heavy, and just how we've built the car. And I've definitely become more okay with doing 8th Mile stuff, especially since we've started doing the Street and Eat drag and drives. And I really like going to Galat, and it's just another opportunity that we get to do test and tunes and possibly events. But yeah, the Street and Eat is a very familiar feeling. It's very much like Race Week as far as the vibe, and how it's ran. Devin and Laura do an amazing job. And again, it's local, so it's like, how can you not do it? It's like literally in our backyard. So
it's a local one. They've got new stuff, 2 tracks in one day that you have to drive to, which is like, that's the craziest thing. We had to do that one time because of weather, and we're like, well, we can either not finish our event, or you guys can say, to hell with it, we're going to race here this morning, run to Shady Side and race tonight and finish the event tonight. And we're like, cool, let's do it. It worked out so well that now it's part of it, that you race one track in the morning, drive in the middle of the day, and race another track at night. And for about an hour, both tracks are running. So it's like, you got to decide, do I need to stay here forever and get the perfect pass at this one, and then possibly not get a good pass at the next one, or do I take an okay pass? Like, it brings such a crazy strategy play into it.
That would definitely change it up.
It's just so cool.
Yeah. So I think final thing, what is the current status on the car, and how did it get to its current status?
I'm going to let you tell this story.
That'd be a good time to plug your YouTube channel as well.
So if you want to see what happened, you can go to YouTube, and it's on YouTube. But the short story is that when we did Race Week 2.0, we had just put new heads on the car. We got rid of the LS3 style heads and went to LS7 style heads.
Okay.
And everything was going, as far as we could tell, okay in the logs, data logs and racing it. Everything was about the same as far as horsepower wise goes. We just wanted something that would breathe a little better, had a little bit better valve springs, a little bit better this, because when we first got the heads, they weren't the greatest that we could afford. They were just what we could afford. And then when we got back, we had noticed in Bandamere, the second to last day, that we had a couple boost spikes. And we're like, that's kind of weird. We shouldn't be boost spiking at all. We called up, Greg from Kong, and we're like, hey, we got boost spikes. Anything in the supercharger, or anything you could think of? He's like, misfires or valve timing's off. I'm like, all right, cool. Come home, tear it apart. The valves were a little bit unhappy. We were chewing up the top of the valve stems. Cool. So we take the engine apart, send it off to Borowski Race Engines. They take care of the whole thing. Right? They're going to give it back to us. We get it back. And I'm going to be like trying to slam this thing together, go to Cadillac Attack. So we're about a week away from when we have to leave from Cadillac Attack. Engine's ready. It's in Chicago. The transmission's ready at A&B Performance. Brandon wanted to take a look at it, go through it, make sure it's all good to go, because Brandon just A&B Performance takes care of everything transmission-wise. That transmission has never missed a beat. It's perfect. But he wanted to go through it anyway just to make sure.
Yep.
And he didn't even need to. He's like, man, I could have left this thing in there. So the transmission's in Wilmington, engines in Chicago, cars here in Raleigh, Cadillac attacks in Florida, and we have a week to do all this. This is going to be bad. So I'm like, all right, here we go. I jump in the truck, I take off, I go to Chicago, grab the engine, turn around, come right back, 30-hour drive, no sleep, fine. Get back. She's got COVID.
Like 10 minutes after you left, long story short, tested positive. I'm like, great. Yeah.
Yep.
Week
So,
of my birthday as well, so that kind of stunk.
week of her birthday. So
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
So we get back, or I get back, and get the engine out of the truck, get it in the garage. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm sleeping in the garage anyway. I might as well make the best of it. So I just drove 30 hours. The hell with it, let's put the engine in. So I start working and dumping the engine in. 3 hours later, the engine's in, and I'm pass out on the garage floor with my hands up like this in the car because that's how you do it. So just working on it. Got to get it down to A&B Performance where the transmission is. I'm going to use his lift, put the transmission in it. Then we're going to use his dyno and dyno tune it with the new, all the new valve train, new compression ratio from Borowski. Like they redid the whole engine for us.
Okay.
Go to do everything. I'm not sure if you know much about the 6L90 stuff, which you probably don't because, you know,
I'm a Ford guy.
Fords have the 8 speeds and the 10 speeds. You know.
I do have a Turbo 400, which is a Chevy transmission
There you
out
go.
of a truck. But yeah,
I used to say if you want to make a Ford fast, put a Chevy motor in it, but then Brett LaSala came along. You can't say that anymore.
Nope.
You just can't do it. So when you put these engines in, and when you put the transmissions in, the flywheel that you put on for the aftermarket crank, you have 6 bolts in your torque converter, 6 bolts in your flywheel.
Yep.
Only 3 match at any point in time. So
With what we had.
with what we had, the TCI flex plate, which is the SFI flex plate we had to have,
Yep.
and the 6L80, 6L90 converter.
Yep.
But it also needs to be spaced. So you have to put some washers in there, and it's a full bell housing. So it's
So
not easy to do.
3/16 spacing in there? Or is
Yeah,
it
we need 3/16 spacers.
Yep.
It's a full bell housing, so it's not like you can kind of reach your finger up there and do this. You have to go through the inspection hole with a magnet and the washer on it, slip it between the converter and the flex plate, and do that. I'm like, I did that once. It was terrible. I'm just gonna, put RTV on them and stick them in the holes I need. Cool. Did that. Put the whole car together. Dyno tuned it great. Everything was fine. Go to Cadillac Attack, and she makes it into the trailer. Weird noise. I start doing nut and bolt check. I checked everything I could. I'm like, it's weird. All right. I don't know what that noise was. There was something that just kind of fell out of the car because it sounds fine now. She goes down the track, makes it 300 feet. Bam. Uh-oh. That's not good. But she drives it back. She was able to drive it down the track, around, turn back, come back to the pits. I'm looking, and I get up underneath there. I'm trying to figure out where the noise is coming from. Now it's got an oil leak to it. I'm like, did we just grenade this engine? And what had happened was I glued the washers for that torque converter in these 3 holes and then bolted it up in these 3 holes. So it wasn't actually tight.
Yeah.
It was tight, but it was bending the flex plate in those 3 places, and then the washers fell out, and now it's no longer tight. So the bolts came out and went zinging around back there and tore up the converter, the flex plate,
The oil pan.
the
rear
timing
cover.
cover, the dart block.
Yeah.
God, it tore everything up.
It hurt feelings.
Feelings
For
have been
sure.
hurt.
Yep.
So right now, the car is sitting at home. The engine is off to the front left of the car. The transmission is off to the back right of the car. The torque converter and flywheel are coming from Circle D. I actually decided, okay, I'm going to idiot-proof it this time and get the Circle D flex plate that has 6 bolt holes that match the 6 bolt holes on their converter.
Yep.
And still SFI certified, so I have to idiot-proof it for myself. And the supercharger is up at Kong Performance
Okay.
because he's going through it. I don't think we're really making any changes on it, but he's kind of just going through it, checking it out. It's off the car. We hadn't had it checked out in a while. The bearings on those things. We're running a 10.0 lower and a 240 upper, so we're aggressive on the on the speed.
Yeah.
I think I calculated it like 34,000 RPM. We're throwing that little 1.9 blower. There's still a stock blower on her car.
Well,
Yeah.
Greg and Mark say if you can cool it, you can spin it.
Yeah. Our tuner Mark
That's what we do.
and Greg at Kong both have said if you can cool it, you can spin it. And we're able to keep it cool. I think we finish quarter-mile runs, finish at like 97 degrees IAT2s
Hey, there you go.
in her car. So it's like, we're good. So I'm like, well, if we can cool it, can we put a 230 upper on it maybe? Maybe just get a little bit more?
I guess
Yeah,
it
tiny
just
bit
comes
more.
down to the boost rating of the engine.
So that
The engine's
engine,
good.
Yeah. We when we blew the engine up at sick week the first time and
Didn't know it.
it was blown up, we said, listen, I'm not putting another stock engine in it. Let's just go full potato. So it's a Dart 427 LS Next with half-inch head studs, 9/16 or 5/8 mains, or like the nasty stuff, diamond pistons,
Cali
boost line
screen.
rods, this thing is built.
Yeah.
This same engine combination he's made 100 times before. His in-car is running 18, 19, 2,000 horsepower. He specifically said to us, oh yeah, I mean, I'd say you can run 1,800, hydraulic roller lifter, no problem. We called another shop, it's got them. He's like, oh, I got 3 cars running 2,200, 2,300 horsepower with these engines. It doesn't matter. They don't care. So I'm sure that the engine can handle it. It's still low compression.
Yeah.
The first time was 925 to 1. Now it's 10.5 to 1. It's still technically low compression.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could throw some boost at it.
Major boost at it.
I'm thinking if we ever put turbos on the car, we could probably throw 30, 35 pounds at it.
Yeah.
No problem. Which, if I'm going to do turbos, I'm not going anything small. So it's going to be a couple 78s on there.
Yeah. If you guys ever throw turbos on it, I'll give you the hit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's as much as I'm going to give you, but yeah.
Well, I'm like, what, almost 1,000 pounds heavier than you?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
We won't tell all the secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna tell
Oh,
all the
now we're going to
secrets.
be shy.
Oh, it's
Don't
when
be coy
that's
with
not
me.
recording. When that's not recording, I'm not shy.
I tell you what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll park them on the scales.
Okay.
And however much heavier she is than you, she gets that head start.
I don't know
1,500 pounds, second and a half. Good luck.
Okay. We'll have to do a staggered tree on it so that I don't get accused of jumping.
Oh God. No staggered. Real quick story about it. No staggered tree, please. She did a Women in Wheels event.
No, stagger tree I'm fine. It's the instant green.
I
That
hate instant green.
No.
I cannot do instant green.
No, incorrect. Incorrect. I'm gonna say it right in the microphone.
So we're in the middle. We're in the middle of drag week right here now.
Yeah.
We're on day 3 of drag week.
Incorrect. We went streetcar bragging rights. She was in the Women's and Wheels class, which is a bracket race. It's for
Oh, dear Lord.
every woman to get into. It doesn't matter if you're driving a station wagon that does 20 seconds a quarter mile, or you're driving a fast race car that does 750s.
Yep.
However, if you drive a fast race car, it's going to do 7s or even 8s. You're at a big disadvantage. As Sharon proved when she raced it was dialed in at 12.5 or 12.6, and she dialed in at 9.3. And I told her, I'm like, listen, your tree's dropping 3 seconds after her tree drops. Don't bump in already up at your 3,000 RPM launch. What does she do? Gets up at 3,000 RPM, bumps in before the other girl even gets in bumped. Which is where she's now on the converter. 4 seconds, 5 seconds, bump in. She goes, still on the converter, scream. Everybody in the starting line's got their head, there's
There's no muffler.
no muffler, open header, supercharger. She was on the converter for almost 9 seconds. When Circle D pulled it apart and said, oh yeah, everything looks great. I'm like, how? How does it look good? So yeah, the staggered tree thing. I don't know. She likes it, but it's nerve-wracking for me, man. I'm like sitting there like, that converter, I could probably cook some eggs on it right now. That thing is warm.
Listen, I mean, you have to learn somehow. Luckily, it worked out okay that time, and now I know.
Now you know.
Now I know.
Yeah.
And it made for a good video. It's a good story. See, I'm giving you stories, memories. I love you.
Day 3.
Well, I think we're going to close it off there. Guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for having us. Yeah, it
We're
was
definitely
fun.
going to have you guys back on again in the future.
Yeah.
Obviously, Valkyree Racing
Yep.
is the place to follow you
Facebook,
guys.
Instagram, YouTube, all same. Valkyrie Racing with 2 E's because
With-
somebody stole Valkyrie spelled the right way. So
Yes. I did notice that the first time. When I was looking for it, I just did voice command. It was like Valkyree Racing, and you did not come up, and I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, when we get her license plate, her personalized plate, somebody already had the IE. It's on some Lexus LS whatever somewhere out in Nashville. I keep looking. Once that plate's gone, I'm gonna take it. Not that we're gonna change her plate,
Yeah.
but just the principle. Of the
Just
thing.
the principle. Yeah. I get
Exactly.
it. I
And we'll
get
put
it
the we'll put the link to their YouTube in
Yep.
our comments and stuff below.
Yep.
Yes,
And
sir. Our
obviously,
descriptions.
as always, I'm Nate. You can follow me on the Fast Plumber on across all social medias.
And I'm Ernie. You can find me at 105 Life, Facebook, some YouTube,
Yep.
a little bit of everything.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you very
for having
much.
Thanks for
us.
coming
Thank you
in.
very much.